Well, what is going on, everybody? I hope you're having a great day. My name is Louie at KitchenTableTCG. Today we're going to talk about Welcome to Rathe Alpha. I want to give a shout out to Mitch over at Midtown Merchant. Make sure you use your promo code JustLove10. Mitch is a great dude, great single sales. Patrons, you also get access to a monthly 10% off discount code. This code is a one-time use. And then I also have a Patreon over at patreon.com/KitchenTableTCG if you are interested in a collection tracker that has all this data for yourself. And all right, let's hop in though to WTR Unlimited. So the patron collection tracker has all this information, but this is kind of just, we're going to see if this is worth it to open a box of Unlimited, essentially is what we're going to do. So right now, a box of Unlimited is sitting at around $92. If you pop that up on, I'm gonna turn off the music for y'all. If you pop that up on eBay, it's sitting about $90, and you can kind of see like the historical data. I kind of try to say this all the time. We had a time where people were trying to get more money out of the boxes, and then stores have done a great job. Like Compete Sports, a lot of other stores have done a great job at making sure boxes don't kind of get out of hand and come to the market with $80 boxes. So, $92 seems to be where the boxes are right now. The Fabled, the Heart of Faendal, we had some interesting sales last week on this card, right? If you remember that, it was kind of like the prices were lower on TCG Player. Well, eBay has evened out with TCG Player. Whatever was going on there, it stopped happening, and we're seeing this week sold listings at what they were offered. This is kind of an eye and a heart. But sold listings of what they were offered on TCG Player last week at the kind of $750 range. So that's where I put that. 710 is the most recent sold. You could probably make an argument for the 750. But on TCG Player they were a little lower too. So Heart of Faendal sitting around 710. And you can see like the market on that card has been kind of interesting. It kind of goes up. It has these big dips, and each one of these kind of upticks is when boxes start drying up. Each one of the downticks is kind of when more boxes come to the market. And we didn't necessarily get boxes to the market, but on this recent one, but we did have a big increase, and maybe this is just a little bit of a falling off. So let's get to the legendaries. This is where things get interesting. Last week we saw a lot of people speccing on cards based on Monarch, the class system that came out. We also saw a weird blip up in Mask of Momentum, both on TCG Player and on eBay. Bravehorse Racers saw a huge increase last week. And this week it kind of, the cards that last week gained, Mask of Momentum is now dropping back down, but Bravehorse Racers has kind of kept its value in at the 190 mark. And the Spring Tunic still up to 160. Let's see what I decided to show you guys on that. Oh, Bravehorse Racers is still sitting, there's a sold listing at 208, a sold listing at 190, a sold listing at 160. And so this card has kept the value up. The Mask of Momentum was kind of all over the place. I think TCG low right now is 160 on it. So these are really, again, like the market's really trying to figure out what they're doing with the Monarch spoilers and with all that stuff. So it's kind of all over the place right now in the legendary department. But it still puts your average just sitting around 160. Make sure, again, like don't just take my word for these. Like the market is moving so fluently. Make sure that you, if you're buying or selling this week, you are doing your research, especially as people kind of start building decks for Monarch and whatnot and start seeing what might work and what might not work. So the Majestic Rainbow foils, kind of the only things to highlight here. Tome, really minus 7%. That in general is something to highlight. Cards are, again, no one's like buying. It's like a weird market right now. People aren't necessarily buying cards because they're waiting for their decks, or they're just speccing on what they're going to do. We're still waiting to see all the Monarch cards. It's kind of a weird place to be in for the market right now. But Enlightened Strike down to 118, Tome of Fiendo down to 36. We're going to talk about Enlightened Strike in the next page too. And then, the rest of the cards are just kind of down. People, again, are they're selling cards to make money for Monarch. That's just kind of what's happening right now. So you can see a graph here. We are still on a downwards trend here. We've been on a downward trend for a couple weeks in a row now. Just that 1 week that we evened out. But really, we're on a downward trend for about 2 months now. The Majestics, this is where things were kind of confusing to me. We're seeing Enlightened Strikes at their all-time lows at $43. I mean, these have never dropped below that. This is the latest value, so you shouldn't even really see this. These are, the only time an E-Strike was here was at the beginning of the year, and since then, so this is the lowest that an E-Strike's been. We're seeing huge dip-offs in the non-foil Majestics, if you pop over on that graph. Huge decreases in the non-foil Majestics on Lightning Strike. And like this is, I looked at sold listings on TCG Player and eBay, and it just seems to be where it is. And there's currently one listed for I think 40 actually. So it's kind of a weird place to be for some of these cards. Again, like I don't want to get into my speculation, but if you're looking for an E-Strike for a deck, this is the time to buy it because this is an all-time low. So this is the time to buy an E-Strike if you're looking for an E-Strike. Toma Fiendel at 20. All in all, $13.04 is your average for the Majestics. Let's go to the super rares. This is the rainbow foil versions. We're down here too, but not, nothing really to write home about. All the cards just kind of in general are down. No massive ups or no massive swings. And you can see we've just been on this kind of plateau for a while. We've had little ups and downs, but really we've just been on a plateau. Your average of the super rares is sitting at $3.45. The super rare non-foils, your average is sitting at $1.64. That's a 3% decrease. Last week we actually went up for the first time in quite a while. Maybe just a little retracement here back down to the 3%. All in all, your graph, again, it just kind of shows what's happening. It's slow dripping as more and more product is opened. And, currently people, again, I don't know, like I haven't really felt like people have been building decks. I'm pretty connected to that world. Like I haven't just heard of people being like, hey, I'm going to try a new deck out. I think everyone's waiting for Monarch cards. I kind of am a broken record. I've been saying that for a few weeks, but the rare rainbow foils are sitting at an average of 94 cents. Remember, this is just TCG low. If you use my collection tracker, I just like to tell you, like, this is just TCG low pricing on the rares. The rest of them I look on eBay and Facebook and TCG Player and whatever, but in the Discord server. But this is just the TCG low listed. It's just easier to just bring it in. And the prices don't really change. So sellers have actually lowered their prices 12% this week, though, which is kind of high, but compared to the last couple of weeks. The regular rares, again, I don't know if you guys really care here, but just in case you're curious, like the sellers are again just in this kind of free fall of dropping their prices, which kind of is telling that no one is building decks or no new players are building decks. Like that's kind of an important metric, I think, for me, is like these are the cards that, if you're a new player, you'd be buying to build decks. But I just think people are waiting for Monarch. And then the cold common rainbow foils. I've been used to saying cold foil commons are sitting at an average 53 cents. Really, your money, only thing here is your iron rot equipment, and the otother equipment is sitting, $3 or $4 each. So no change there. Let's go to our EV calculation. So if you know this, in each box, you're going to get 42 rares, 4 foil rares, 4 super rares, 1 foil super rare, 2 Majestics. 1 in 4 boxes will have a Majestic rainbow foil, and 1 in 4 boxes will have a chance at a legendary. And then 1 in 40 boxes has a chance at a fabled. So if you are opening 40 boxes, your average would be sitting at $114.11. If you just open 1 box, you don't hit the legendary, you don't hit the fabled, you're really sitting at an average around $56. And these two numbers, this is what's interesting to me. These two numbers are getting further apart. The legendaries are going up in value, but the rest of the cards in the set are going down in value. And so that's causing these two numbers, when you take out the legendaries, to start getting really distant. So it is now more than ever important that you open cases or do case breaks, for your specific set, rather than doing just like a box opening if you don't hit that legendary. So if you have a master set, which is one of each card in each version, so rainbow foil and non-foil, you'd be sitting at $2,149.37. Let's look at what gained. Let's compare that to last week. Really, minus 9%. We had an 8% increase last week, so minus 9%. Again, market just kind of retracing back down to kind of where we were before kind of spoiler season hype here. Let's take a look at the biggest cards to gain value. Really, there's only 2 to really talk about. Singing Steelblade Rainbow Foil gained 27%, and Scabskin Leathers gained $10. Again, not really. This is super important. Route gained 55%, going from $1.79 to $2.78, and Hurricane Technique gained 30%. And then Reckless Swing, these are the non-foils, also gained 20%. And then cards that lost value were actually Mask of Momentum, and this was a card that had shot up last week, but kind of the market, like there's a price memory for a card like Mask of Momentum. Whereas like nothing really changed for Mask of Momentum in terms of the play style or the decks. Nothing happened in Monarch. Whereas for Bravehorse Racers, there is a price memory, but we have this kind of new hero that kind of changes things. So I think that's kind of where Mask of Momentum fell back down to where it was last week, and Bravehorse Racers was able to hold its value. All in all, a 36% decrease. Forge for War Rainbow Foil losing 27%. Potion of Strength, kind of a rare rainbow foil, losing 24%. And then the non-foil losers were Crippling Crush, Majestic, losing $3, Crazy Brew losing 25 cents, and Blood Rush Bellow losing $2.30, all for about 30% decreases. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about alpha. Before I get into the alpha versions, I like to kind of share, I only share kind of the facts that are going on. I try to keep away from my opinions on this. If you are interested in my opinions, I do have a podcast called If I Were Investing. It's not necessarily like opinions on the data, but kind of what I would be doing. I just try to I kind of like to try to keep this one just more factual of what's happening on the market. So as we look at the sealed boxes of alpha, it's kind of all over. I was talking to somebody today about this. It's kind of all over the place. I don't know why that does it. It's kind of all over the place in terms of if you are a buyer, you are looking to buy at more like $7,000 probably. But if you're a seller, there is evidence of $8,000 listings. I actually didn't pop this up. Let me pop this up for everybody. There's evidence of $8,000 listings. Welcome to Rathe Alpha Box. There's plenty of $8,000 listings to solidify it. But that being said, there's enough on the Facebook marketplace. There's enough boxes moving around. There's two sold listings in the last 24 hours, last 48 hours, since Thursday. That's a little longer than that, actually. 2 sold listings at $8,000. But there's actually still sold listings this week at like $6,000. So if I'm a buyer, I'm looking at these listings. If I'm a seller, I'm looking at these listings. And unfortunately, the way that the market works, I think it's going to gravitate heavier towards these listings at the $8,000. So that's kind of where I put it there, up to $8,000. Make sure if you're buying or selling, you're doing your own research. Again, I'm just trying to present the market data to everybody. So the Fabled, there was a Fable that sold. I reached out to the seller. He didn't want to disclose the price yet. It was listed at $50,000. I assume they worked and they negotiated from there. So I'm going to keep it at $50,000, and hopefully he reaches out back to me and tells me next week what kind of it solidified as. I think he was waiting to hear from the buyer if that was okay. But it seems like $50,000 is still the starting price for asking that. If you listed a Heart of Feyendel cold foil for $50,000, no one's going to laugh at you. People are probably going to start the negotiations from there. If it's in really good condition, you might have enough bidders that are that are kind of driving the price up. If it's not going to get a 9.5 or 10 or whatever, probably not going to get 10. But if it's not going to get a 9.5, then you might have people trying to go down from the 50,000. So just keep that in mind. If you're one of those 413 people, or way less than that many people, but if you own one of those 418 cold foil hearts. All right, the Scabskin Leathers. This is the legendaries. The Scabskin Leathers. There was a sold listing on Facebook for $3,500, and then a Bravehorse Racers sold on Discord for $3,000. So those kind of balanced each other out in terms of like moving with the market, and it's nice to see that almost all these kind of class specific legendaries are sitting in the $3,000 mark. They're kind of all accepting that price. I would say again, it kind of depends on the buyer, it kind of depends on the seller who wants individual cards. And then Mask of Momentum, always going to kind of have that premium. The artwork's beautiful. It's kind of an iconic card. It's the meta deck for a long time. So, and then the Spring Tunic being the generic, this is so hard to price, honestly. Your guess is as good as mine at some point. There was one that sold last week for $10,000. I saw somebody who listed one that was probably LP for $12,000, and he's had a lot of interest in the card. Not necessarily cash offers, but a lot of trades that are hard to value. So I'm going to leave this at $10,000 until we see like a confirmed sale, until somebody reaches out to me and provides evidence of that. We're just probably not ever going to see one on eBay again. These cards are getting so hard. There's like nothing. The only thing you're seeing is graded cards. We're moving closer and closer into a time when graded cards will be the only, and probably what I'll do then is change all these prices and we'll start grading at 9.0s. Well, this tracker will probably start tracking a 9.0. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, but eventually we're going to run out of non-graded cards to sell in the market as graded cards kind of are going to overtake. So that's just something to keep in mind. All in all, your average legendary is sitting at $4,740. That's a 2% increase And you can see we have just seen some significant gains over the last couple months of these cards. So the cold foil commons, speaking of significant gains, I love it. Oh man, I love it. I love the cold foil commons. You all know that. Lots of sold listings this week. Barkbone strapping at $6.95. Helm of Eisen's Peak at $7.50. I think that one was on Discord if I remember correctly. Barkbone strapping, I believe, was on eBay. Goliath Gauntlet for $7.85. Iron Rot Plate for $5.20. Iron Rot Legs for $5.15. I think those were on Facebook. I can't actually remember where the Iron Rot Gauntlet was. It was probably Facebook or eBay. Anyway, your average is sitting at $581.25. And what I've been trying to tell people on these is like, if you are selling, try to use the average price. Like, they're just, a Hope Merchant's Hood didn't sell this week, so the average is, it's just kind of one of those weird things where I would try to I would start my sold listing, I would start my selling listings on some of these ones that we don't have like Iron Rot Helm, we don't have a recent sale for it. I would try to use the other cards to value the cards. I wouldn't just trust my prices here. Like, technically, if I was selling a Heart and Cross strap, I would label it as like $5.90 probably is what I would do. And to see where the bites are, that would seem to be where the market is on the holistic approach of the cold foil commons. But, the other ones, use the sold listings. I don't really know what to tell everybody. These are, again, few and far between. And the sellers, I said this last week, the sellers are kind of setting them at the $1,000 mark or the $800, $900 mark. And it's taking a while for the buyers to accept those prices, but the sellers aren't moving down either. So it's kind of a weird place in the market. But the average is sitting at $581.25 from the last couple of weeks of sold listings. That's a gain again of 7%. We had a little retracement last week after huge gains, but we're kind of back moving up again. All right, let's go to the Majestic Rainbow Foils. One big sale this week was the Ancestral Empowerment on eBay for $500 on Wednesday. So again, these are really hard to find on the market, even way harder than the cold foil commons. And when they pop up in the market, they're getting scooped up relatively quickly. And it's kind of like a set your own price as long as it's reasonable. I mean, there was a time when people were listing at $880, way back here. And I was like, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. But now it really is kind of set your own price for some of this stuff, and see what happens and accept a best offer that you are looking for. That puts your average Majestic Rainbow Foil at $820.50. Again, there's just so few sales of these. You're going to have to try to pick, like if you're selling a Spinal Crush, I would caution you of not listing it for $225. I would say look at some of the other Rainbow Foil Majestics that are selling and label your price based on those. This is just presenting you the most recent public sales that are in the market. And you can kind of see the green is all the ones that sold. The yellow are usually something that I say in a video, like this one yellow was something I had forgotten or I had missed the week before. Spinal Crush, I think that was a weird condition issue or something. Anyway, the green are all like regular confirmed sales. The red are kind of questionable sales that don't make sense based on the market. So make sure you're doing your own research. All in all, average at $820.50. The regular Majestics, this week we are actually down a lot of sold listings. The kind of biggest reason we're down is an E-Strike that sold on eBay for $305, and that kind of drove the market down. I think there's one TCG player for $350 too, so it's kind of a weird place for some of those cards. Another Tome sold for $196, Ancestral Empowerment for $99. Glint the Quicksilver lost a little bit of value too. So all in all, just like a 6% retracement. Again, a lot of people are putting money into Monarch right now, and that's really drying up the market in terms of all of these things. So the super rare Rainbow Foils. Let's see, we had 4 sold listings this week, 5 sold listings this week. A lot of small movements, 4% increase overall. Cranial Crush on TCG Player sold for $200. Showtime, I think that was on, I can't remember, TCG Player eBay for $180. Mugenshi Release for $200. Singing Steelblade actually lost some value at $80, and then Iron Song Determination at $175. So all in all, a 4% increase still. Even though a card like Singing Steelblade lost some value, a 4% increase. Your average is sitting at $148.93, and everything applies to the same thing here. Make sure you're using the sold listings of the cards around this and not just the individual card, because these are collectors mostly that are purchasing these. and they're kind of completing sets. So keep in mind that these like sold listings are kind of outdated. Like the last Forge for War, it was a while ago. The last Forge for War was that one's way long ago. Oh my gosh. Let's use a better one. It makes me look a little bit better. Before this week, the last Bonehead Barrier was 60, or before last week, the last Bonehead Barrier was 60. So that price took a long time to update because there just weren't any sold in the market. But the super rares, this is the non-foil version. Your average is sitting at 1992. A lot of sold listings this week for this card. A lot of movement, just kind of up, down, in between. Some cards went up, some cards went down. Everything was pretty consistent with what the prices were last week, though. Just $1 or $2 here or there. It all shook out to a 2% loss. And you can see the graph there. I mean, we kind of saw some good increases, and now we're kind of just a little retracement period. Okay, let's get to the rainbow foils. Remember, I just used TCG low on these, and then I kind of go through and take out any outliers. It's hard to figure out what's an outlier, what's not, but I try to look at the sold listings on the ones that are weird. So all in all, sellers have basically risen their prices by 11% to an average of $41.73. Nothing significant to talk about here, but you can see like these have to be moving if sellers are raising their prices at the TCG low. I mean, otherwise the prices wouldn't be going anywhere. And so the cards are moving. It's just a matter of identifying what cards you need. And if you were selling in bulk, I would give a pretty good bulk discount for these. Oh man, it's late here. Sorry guys. The rares, a little retracement down 2% for an average of $3. The common rainbow foils, still a lot of value, even though they're common cards. Still a lot of value in the common rainbow foils, up 12%. Again, this is just TCG low, but again, sellers have allowed their prices to move up, suggesting that nothing is selling. Suggesting that things are selling as one person sells, the next one becomes the TCG low. So that's kind of telling that these cards are moving at around these prices. So that's a 12% increase for an average rainbow foil common, sitting at about $10. The non-foil commons all have a little bit of value, and this is important for the EV calculation here in a second at 75 cents. All right, so let's get to the EV calculation. If you open 40 boxes, you're going to sit at an average of $4,330.47. If you take out the non-foil commons, remember I just said a non-foil common average is like 75 cents, so that adds $200 in value. You're probably not going to get that. So if you take out the non-foil commons, you'd be sitting more like $4,135.60. And then if you have a one box, so that's if you open 40 boxes. If you just hit open one box, you're not going to account for the legendary or the fabled. You'd be sitting more like $1,700. And then a master set, one of each card, cold foil, non-foil, and rainbow foil would be sitting at $1,152,322. If you look at an EV chart of that 4,135, you're up 2%. Overall, the market is up 2% on the alpha cards. The cards that gained the most value were Cranial Crush, super rare, from 76 to 200. That's 160% increase. Ancestral Empowerment, that big sale, from 300 to 500. That's a 66% increase. And Potion of Strength, rainbow foil, from 121 to 175 for a 45% increase. Scab Skin Leathers, very close there, moving up 40% as well. Weekly non-foil gainers, Forge for War, going from 5 to 8 for a 60% increase. Ancestral Empowerment going from 75 to 99 for 32% increase. And Spinal Crush going from 50 to 60 for a 20% increase. The cards that lost the most value are Singing Steelblade Rainbow Foil from 151 to 80. That's a 47% decrease. Showtime, the blue version. Oh, they're all blue. Sorry, I just said that. Idiot. Super rare. Rainbow Foil from 220 to 180 for 18% decrease. And then that Bravehorse Racers sale for $3,000 lowered the price for it by about 16%. And the weekly non-foil losers, 10 to 15 on Sanchez's Plan. That's a $5 loss or 33%. Showtime went from 20 to 15 for 25% loss. And then that Enlightened Strike moving from 450 to 350 is a $100 loss or 24%. So the market, again, I think a lot of people are selling cards to buy the Monarch stuff. It's kind of to be expected. Last thing I always love to say, if you are interested in a collection tracker, I do offer that as part of my Patreon. Go to patreon.com/KitchenTableTCG. You get a lot of perks, benefits, Discord servers in there, a lot of awesome stuff. But kind of the bread and butter is the collection tracker. We are working on collection tracker 2.0. It'll be out kind of with Monarch once we get the Monarch cards in there. And then if you are a $15 patron at the tier where I do the podcast, you actually get access to all this information from historical. And tomorrow I have a video coming out that's basically showing you how you can use this information and how I use this information to gauge what the value of what's the new set Monarch cards are going to be. It's really fun. I took the averages of all the values from the historical data and then compared it to the box prices, and to show you like on average with the box when the box was $500. Anyway, it'll be really cool. And if you're a $15 patron, you actually have access to all that data, which I think is pretty cool. If you wanted to see like what the all-time high of a card was or not. Anyway, stay tuned for that video tomorrow. I think you guys are gonna like it. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. I'm really excited about it. So all that being said, I hope you have a great day. Remember to be kind to the people around you, and we will see you tomorrow for that fun video.